Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that the people we love the most can sometimes be the ones who hurt us the deepest? We often believe that family and close friends will always be our safe space, the place we can lean on when life gets tough. But then, one day, those very people become the source of our pain. And we start to question everything. Is this love? Or is this an invisible chain that's keeping me stuck in suffering? The Buddha once said, "A bad friend is more dangerous than a wild beast." Because a wild beast can harm your body, but a toxic friend or even a family member can destroy your peace of mind and your trust in yourself. Sometimes their words make you question your own worth. Their actions, not loud, but constant, wear you down in silence. This kind of hurt, it doesn't leave bruises on the skin, but it lingers deep, and it's hard to heal. So the question is, when is it time to walk away, even from someone you've known and loved for years? When being around them no longer brings you nourishment, but instead drains you dry. When their presence pulls you away from who you are piece by piece, then letting go isn't selfish. It's actually an act of compassion for yourself. Some relationships are worth fighting for, but some, if we keep holding on, they begin to weigh heavy on our inner world. And today, I'd like to share with you 10 clear signs that it may be time to let go, even if the person is a longtime friend or someone in your own family. 1. They make you feel small. Have you ever sat next to someone you care about, but instead of feeling supported, you feel a little less like yourself every time? They don't yell, they don't insult you directly, but it's the subtle comments. At your age, you're still chasing dreams? Always talking about values, but what have you actually done? Come on, be realistic. At first, we think it's just a reminder, but slowly, we stop dreaming. The flame dims, and our belief in ourselves becomes fragile. You stop speaking up. You stop trying new things. You stop thinking you even deserve a fulfilling life. Have you ever felt like that? I've spoken with many older Buddhists in our community who tell me, "Why do I feel useless around my own family? Whatever I say, it's wrong. Whatever I do, it's never enough. I feel invisible in my own home." And then they ask, "Am I just too weak?" You're not weak. You're just in a relationship that made you forget your own worth. The Buddha taught, every person carries the seed of awakening within. No one was born to live like a withered leaf on the roadside. We all have the right to shine, to grow, and to live fully, whether we're 30, 50, or 70 years old. But if being around someone constantly makes you feel dismissed, diminished, or silences the beautiful parts of who you are, maybe it's time to pause and ask yourself, is this person really helping me move forward? There's a Buddhist story about a young novice monk who was constantly scolded and criticized by a senior monk. One day, the novice asked the Buddha, "How long must I be patient with this person before it's no longer considered compassion?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Compassion doesn't mean letting someone walk all over your heart, because even love needs wisdom. And wisdom teaches us this: no one has the right to make you feel unworthy. No one gets to decide that you're not good enough or undeserving of care." Now, imagine this. You're sitting with a friend who truly listens. They don't judge you. They encourage you to believe in yourself, and their presence makes you feel calm and safe. That's what a healthy relationship does. If that's missing from your current relationship, maybe it's time to take a step back. Not to cut someone off in anger, but to protect the light inside you. Letting go doesn't mean hate. Letting go is an act of self-respect, of kindness toward your own heart. And sometimes, we only find ourselves again after we've had the courage to walk away. So, if you see yourself in these words, please remember, there is no age too late to start loving yourself again. And you deserve relationships that make you bloom, not ones that make you wither. 2, they don't respect your boundaries. Have you ever felt like your boundaries just don't matter to someone close to you? Maybe you said no, but they kept pushing. Maybe you clearly told them you needed some time alone, but they got upset or guilt-tripped you for it. Or maybe all you wanted was a moment of silence, just someone to listen without judging, and instead, they jumped in with opinions you didn't ask for. And suddenly, you feel overwhelmed, lost, pulled out of your own center. I've had so many older students in their 50s and 60s share this exact struggle with me. I'm exhausted from always trying to please everyone. I don't say how I really feel because I'm afraid they'll call me selfish. And little by little, over the years, they lose sight of who they really are. The Buddha once said, "Protecting the mind is how we protect the seed of wisdom." When we don't set boundaries, or when others constantly step over them, it's like a riverbank eroding. The water might be gentle at first, but without strong edges to hold it, it can flood and wash everything away. Your peace, your joy, your self-worth. You can picture this. A calm river flowing between two green, solid banks. Beautiful, steady, peaceful. But if someone keeps digging away at the banks, widening the channel, the river becomes wild. It overflows. And that peaceful scene turns into chaos. Your life needs those banks too. Your personal boundaries. If someone keeps pushing into your space, overriding your choices, making you feel small or out of control, that's not love. That's control. And control is the enemy of inner freedom. Respecting someone's boundaries isn't just good manners. It's a spiritual act. Because when someone ignores your no, they're not just crossing a line, they're denying the most honest part of who you are. And over time, that kind of behavior slowly breaks down the relationship from within. I remember a Zen master once told me, "Not everyone who walks into the temple is meant to stay. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is gently close the gate." And I found that to be true in life too. If someone refuses to respect your boundaries, keeping a healthy distance isn't about pushing them away in anger. It's about protecting the peaceful flow within yourself. And here's something I truly believe. If you're clear enough to see what's happening, you're strong enough to let go, and you can do it with compassion, not bitterness. Boundaries are not walls to keep others out. They're the roof that gives your soul a place to rest. And if someone keeps breaking that roof, maybe it's time to step outside, to find a new sky, one where you can finally breathe and be yourself again. Because someone who truly loves you will be the first to honor the boundaries you set. 3, they bring constant drama and tension into your life. Have you ever felt like you're living in a storm that never ends? But the storm doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from the people closest to you. A late-night phone call that shakes your peace. A complaint that comes out of nowhere. A minor issue that gets blown out of proportion. Day after day, week after week. Drama after drama. And all you want is some quiet, but you keep getting pulled in, as if you don't even have the right to say no. I've sat with many people, some retired, some caring for elderly parents, and they've shared something similar. I just want one peaceful day. No arguing, no guilt, tripping, no yelling. But it feels like wherever I go, chaos follows. And gently I ask them, are you sure the chaos is yours, or are you simply caught in someone else's storm? The Buddha once said, avoid those who delight in quarrels. For their minds are not at peace, and wherever they go, they bring restlessness with them. You can imagine this. You're sitting beside a quiet, still lake. The breeze is soft, the water is clear, your heart feels calm. But then someone walks up and throws a heavy rock into the water. Ripples spread, then another rock, and another, until the surface of the lake is no longer still. Just waves, just noise, just disorder. And you begin to wonder, why is the lake so unsettled? That's how many of us are living. We're not the ones creating the mess, but we allow others to bring their chaos into our lives. And slowly, we begin to believe that the chaos is part of who we are. But it's not. It never was. Someone who truly loves you will not bring storms into your heart. There'll be shade on a hot day, a gentle presence, a quiet strength that helps you breathe a little easier. But if someone, even someone you care about deeply, keeps pulling you into endless drama and emotional turbulence, then maybe it's time to pause and ask yourself, am I choosing peace, or am I just getting used to the storm? Peace doesn't just show up on its own. It's something we choose by stepping back, by closing certain doors, by no longer saying yes to what drains us. And sometimes, letting go of the person who keeps stirring up the storm isn't failure. It's maturity. It's the moment you say to yourself, I deserve to live in stillness. Because peace isn't a place where there's no wind. It's knowing who you'll allow into your heart and who you've outgrown. 4. They make you lose yourself. Have you ever felt like you're no longer yourself when you're around someone? You stop saying what you really mean. You smile even when you're hurting. You go along with things that don't feel right, just to be accepted. And slowly, every time you're with them, you feel like you're acting in your own life. I once spoke with a woman in her 60s after a retreat. She looked tired and said, I feel like a shadow in my own home. Around my family, I can't be real. If I speak up, I'm criticized. If I stay quiet, they say I'm distant. Sometimes I ask myself, am I even still me? That question, it's painful but honest. Because when you have to trade your truth to keep a relationship, what you're holding on to isn't love anymore. It's compromise. The Buddha taught, a wise person protects their mind from being swept away by external conditions. If someone, no matter how close, is pulling you away from your true self, then that connection is quietly leading you off the path of clarity. Picture this: a tall pine tree growing freely under the open sky. Then one day, someone plants it next to a wall. Each day, they gently bend its branches, tying it closer and closer to that wall. The tree still grows. It's still green, but no longer straight, no longer free, no longer itself. Sound familiar? Some people, often without even realizing it, try to shape us into what they prefer. They want us quieter, softer, more agreeable, even if that goes against who we truly are. And if we're not mindful, we keep bending until one day we look in the mirror and don't recognize who we've become. Many people, especially as they grow older, don't come to the temple because they were abandoned, but because they've been far away from themselves for far too long. Dear friends, if someone makes you shrink yourself down, hide the beautiful parts of who you are, just to stay in their good graces, then you're walking away from the light inside you. A person who truly loves you helps you come home to yourself, not abandon who you are. And sometimes, letting go of a relationship that no longer feels real is the first step to embracing yourself again, with all the love you've forgotten to give yourself for so many years. Be yourself, because only then can you truly be at peace. Number 5. They don't celebrate your joy. Have you ever felt this? You finally accomplished something meaningful. Maybe you hit a health goal. Maybe your first grandchild is born. Or maybe you simply feel more at ease after months of inner work and reflection. And yet, the person beside you seems completely indifferent. No smile. No, "That's wonderful." Maybe even a cold comment that stings. You're really bragging about that. Or worse, the quiet jealousy, the invisible competition, or the silence that says, "I don't want to see you happy." I've met many older practitioners who say, "I'm always there when others are struggling, but when I have something joyful to share, no one's around to listen." And that is a quiet kind of loneliness. Because real connection doesn't just mean going through pain together. It means being able to celebrate happiness side by side. The Buddha said, "To share in someone's joy is one of the deepest expressions of loving kindness." Someone who truly loves you will smile just because you're smiling. They'll raise a glass for your small wins, even if they have nothing to do with them. Because your joy is a joy in itself. Imagine this. You've been tending to your backyard garden, and today, the very first flower blooms. You stand there, quietly delighted, as if you've just finished reciting a sacred verse, and you want to share that moment with someone. But instead of awe, they scoff. That flower took long enough. Your heart quietly shuts down. Not because the flower wasn't beautiful, but because the eyes that looked at it held no warmth. If you feel like you have to hide your joy, or worse, feel ashamed of your happiness, then that space is no longer nourishing your heart. Those who are true to you will protect your light, but those who carry jealousy will try to dim it. We don't need to live for anyone else's approval, but we do deserve to be surrounded by people who feel like peace when we smile. And sometimes walking away from a relationship that can't celebrate your joy is the only way to protect your inner light. Because that light, the one you've nurtured with kindness, practice, and time, is sacred. Cherish it, and only share it with those who know how to hold it with care. Because happiness, when shared in the right place, blooms like a lotus in the heart. 6. They don't reciprocate your love and effort. Have you ever felt like you're the only one holding a relationship together? You're the one who calls first, texts first, compromises first, worries first. And when the day comes that you need a comforting word, a listening ear, a simple, "Are you okay?" there's no one, only silence, and the ache of being unseen. I once sat with an elderly woman, a retired Buddhist practitioner in her 60s. She quietly said, "I've spent my whole life taking care of my husband and children. Now I'm old and sick, and I don't even tell them. I just wish someone would ask, 'Mom, are you doing all right?' But no one does. I stay silent because I don't want to be a burden." Have you ever felt that way? You give so much from your heart and get very little in return. At first you think, it's fine as long as they're happy. But over time, something inside you starts to fade your energy, your joy, your sense of connection. The Buddha taught, love without wisdom is not true love. It must be nourished with balance. If a relationship is one-sided, like a stream that only gives and never receives, that stream will eventually run dry. Picture this. You water a plant every day. You feed it, protect it, give it sunshine. But after a while, the plant stops growing. No new leaves, no blossoms. Worse, it begins to drain the soil around it. leaving nearby plants withering too. What would you do? Love works the same way. If someone always takes but never gives back, if your kindness becomes something they take for granted, then it's only natural that your spirit begins to shrink. This isn't selfishness, it's survival. Please remember this. Love is not an obligation. Love is a flow, heart to heart, soul to soul. If you are always the one tending the fire, and the other just comes to warm themselves, the flame will eventually burn out. And once a heart goes cold, it's much harder to reignite. Letting go doesn't mean resentment. Letting go simply means recognizing that you deserve love that flows both ways, not love that drains. You deserve to be cared for, the same way you've always cared for others. And when you finally turn inward, when you light your own flame again, you will bloom once more. 7. They refuse to grow. Have you ever found yourself in this place? You're trying to grow. You're learning to live with more kindness, more clarity. But the person beside you, they stay stuck in old patterns. Not because they can't grow, but because they refuse to. You suggest healthier choices, they scoff. You try to release anger, they mock you. Be soft like that, and no one will respect you. You're climbing, trying to move forward, and they pull you back into who you used to be. Have you felt that? You're evolving, but they're rooted in a version of life that no longer fits you. Worse yet, sometimes they sabotage your progress with criticism, sarcasm, or cold indifference. The Buddha taught, just as a snake must shed its skin to stay alive, a person must let go of their old self in order to grow. No one can truly change if they cling to outdated pain, harmful habits, or rigid mindsets. Growth requires discomfort, and it requires courage. Now imagine this. You're on a boat, sailing out toward open waters. The wind is kind, the sky is clear. You're ready for the next chapter. But your companion? They want to drop anchor. They say, "This is far enough. Why go further?" And there you are, at a crossroads. Do you stay and shrink? Or do you row on alone? Perhaps, but free? From my years of sitting with hundreds of older practitioners, I've learned something. Growth doesn't come with age. It comes with honesty, with a willingness to look inward, to question, to change. Sadly, some people only get older, not wiser. They wear their pain like armor. They say, "This is just how I am," and refuse to soften, to evolve. But you, dear friend, you have the right to keep growing. If someone chooses to remain stuck, that's their path. But that doesn't mean you have to stand still with them. Letting go isn't abandoning the person. It's releasing the version of them that refuses to grow, so you can continue walking your own path in light and truth. Because your inner light deserves to shine, without being dimmed by someone else's fear of change. 8. They are not honest with you. Have you ever trusted someone deeply, sincerely, only to find out later that they weren't being honest with you? Maybe it started with one small lie, then another hidden detail, and then another, until one day, you can no longer tell what in that relationship was real and what was just for show. A woman in her 50s once confided in me, "Bhante, I'm not angry because they lied. I'm hurt because I trusted them with all my heart, and they used that trust to cover what they didn't want me to see." Have you ever felt that way? You don't need someone who's perfect. You just need someone who's real. You don't expect them to always be right, but you need them to be kind enough not to use dishonesty to damage the trust you gave them. The Buddha once said, "A person without truthfulness is like a boat with no bottom. No matter how hard you row, it will never reach the shore. Even the longest relationship, if it's not built on honesty, is like a castle made of sand. It might look beautiful on the outside, but one breeze is enough to collapse it all. Imagine this. You walk into a room. Everything is tidy, well arranged, but the light? It's artificial. No real sunshine, no warmth, just a cold LED glow behind frosted glass. At first you're okay with it, but over time you begin to feel it. There's no breath, no soul in the space, only surface. That's what a dishonest relationship feels like. Even if the person smiles and acts familiar, if there's no truth behind their words, you will eventually feel alone, even in their presence. Let me say this with all sincerity. Everyone makes mistakes. But what defines a person's character is not whether they're perfect, but whether they're willing to be honest when they've gone astray. Lies don't just hurt you. They trap the liar too, in a maze of shadows where no one truly sees each other anymore. And once trust is cracked, no matter how well you patch it, it's never quite the same. If someone constantly makes you doubt them, if they twist the truth, hide motives, or make you question your own clarity, then stepping away is not a failure. It's an act of self-respect, because you deserve to live in truth. You deserve to be around people whose words bring you peace, not suspicion. And always remember, the one who truly loves you will never use deception to keep you. They'll choose honesty even when it's hard, because real love cannot grow in the dark. 9. They use you for their own benefit. Have you ever felt this way? That someone only reaches out when they need something, a favor, support, validation, or even just someone to dump their emotions on? But when you are tired, when you need a moment of care, they vanish, or they're suddenly too busy. I once sat with an elderly man who said this with a long, weary sigh. I don't regret what I gave. What hurts is realizing I was just someone to run errands for. And when I couldn't give anymore, they turned cold. I didn't respond right away, because I knew he wasn't the only one who'd felt that way. True love does not come with conditions. It doesn't ask, "What can I get from you?" It simply says, "I want peace for you." But when someone always places their benefit first, when they see you as a means to their end, that relationship has already drifted far from its roots. Sincerity and care. Picture this. You are a lantern. You shine through the night, offering warmth and clarity. They come, they read, they rest by your light. But over time, the flame dims, and instead of helping refill the oil, they leave, looking for another lantern that burns brighter. You stand there, empty, asking yourself, were they ever here for me? Or just for the light I offered? After listening to many such stories over the years, I've learned this truth. Not everyone who treats you nicely is sincere. Some people are kind, but only when it benefits them. And the more you accommodate them, the more they'll take you for granted. This doesn't mean you must doubt everyone. But if you constantly feel used instead of valued, it's time to pause and ask, is this connection still rooted in kindness and genuine affection? Letting go in such cases isn't anger. It isn't punishment. It's a quiet act of self-preservation, a way to protect the sacred light inside you from being drained by those who only know how to take. And perhaps more importantly, it makes space for people who come for you, not for what you can give. Because you deserve relationships that leave you feeling full, not like a shadow standing behind someone else's spotlight. And when you let go with compassion, you don't lose anything. You're simply choosing to keep the best of yourself for yourself. 10. They drain your energy. You walk into the room feeling okay, maybe even cheerful. But after a few hours of listening to complaints, negativity, or the same old drama, you leave feeling strangely exhausted. There was no shouting, no argument, no direct insult. And yet, your entire body feels drained. And you quietly ask yourself, what just happened? An older gentleman once shared this with me after a family gathering. Bante, I didn't argue with anyone. I just sat and listened. But by the time I got home, I wanted to lie down, turn off the lights, and disappear. I felt tired, and I didn't know why. Many of us have been there. It's not the physical exhaustion that weighs you down. It's the quiet depletion of your spiritual energy. Picture this. Each person is like a cup of water. In a healthy relationship, there's a flow you give, and you are also refilled. But if the relationship keeps draining you and never pours anything back in, eventually, that cup runs dry. I once watched a kind-hearted woman, always ready to help. She comforted others, stepped up when needed, gave without hesitation. But over time, she grew quiet. She cried alone. She became ill because she kept pouring until there was nothing left. Let me tell you this. From a place of deep compassion, guarding your energy is not selfish. It is an act of loving kindness toward yourself. Because when you are depleted, you won't have anything left, not even for the ones you love. Dear friends, if a relationship always leaves you tense or feeling emptied after every encounter, then maybe you're in the wrong place. Not everyone in life is a bad person, but not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever. And stepping away doesn't mean you're cold-hearted. It means you're learning to protect the light within. In the years ahead, we don't need more drama. We need calm. We need gentle presence. We need relationships that lift us up, not ones that leave us feeling dimmed. You have the right to choose a better resting place. And if the space you're in no longer nourishes your spirit, don't be afraid to walk on. Because some doors only open after you've had the courage to close others. Perhaps the hardest part is not walking away from someone, but walking away from the idea of them that you've held on to for so long. But when a connection brings more pain than peace, when it makes you forget who you are, when it asks you to shrink yourself just to fit in, then letting go is not a loss. It's the first step back home to yourself. You are not selfish for choosing peace. You are not wrong for protecting your dignity. And more than anything, you deserve to be loved fully and kindly, just like anyone else in this universe. The Buddha said, just as one walking in darkness needs light, every soul needs a place for the heart to rest. And sometimes, that resting place is not someone else. It's within you, when you finally let go of what no longer nourishes you. Thank you for staying with me through this entire reflection. If something I shared today touched your heart, please subscribe to Buddhism Seeds, where we continue exploring life's quiet stories and timeless Buddhist wisdom. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who might need a gentle reminder. And if you have something on your heart, I invite you to leave a comment below. I read each one and I treasure your words. May you find relief in every step you take away. And may you find lightness in every step you take back toward yourself.